What's going on YouTube? So of course the Mercedes S-Class has long been known as the benchmark of luxury sedans. However, the smaller C-Class has always tried to capture a lot of that essence, but in a lot sportier way. Today I'm standing next to the all-new generation, which I'm happy to report follows that same formula that's made it such a success in the past. Larger, more luxurious, and higher tech than ever before. Is this the compact luxury sedan to buy? Let's go ahead and find out. So when you first walk up to this all-new generation of the C-Class, it may not be immediately obvious that this is a brand new model because it does have a very evolutionary design compared to the last generation. But as you get up closer, you will notice a lot of more differences than what initially meets the eye. So starting out up here in the front, we have the newest version of the Mercedes fascia. With this standard version of the C300, we have kind of a softer round look to this grille. You have the black lines that run vertically through here and then the one central chrome piece that goes through the middle. However, if you get the AMG line model, that's going to turn this smile upside down. So it's going to kind of make this actually look a little bit more like a frown, more aggressive, mean, and change up this lower fascia to look a little bit more mean as well. Now as we come over here to the headlights, we do have standard full LED headlights across all of the models. As you can see on this example, we do have the projector low beam. It is a reflector high beam, daytime running light, and turn signal indicator. You can option on the digital LED headlight system, which is a little bit fancier than this one and has adaptive abilities. Now, of course, in typical Mercedes fashion, we have a lot of different wheel choices as well, actually 7 in total to choose between. We have the 18-inch alloy wheels on this example. Really like this look. Plenty of contrast with the different spokes. You do have 19s available if you want something a little bit larger that shows off a little bit more. And then let's come up here and take a look at our mirrors. I'm very pleased to see what's on board because we do have the base model today, and despite that we have all the features. So that means we have heating, power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring. And if you chose the AMG line, that's going to black out the mirror caps as well as the silver trim around the windows.
Let's talk about the side design of this all-new C-Class. Now, I'll talk about the overall shaping first. Of course, you are going to have those signature good-looking proportions as you would expect out of a rear-drive-based sedan like this. Long, low hood, nice back. As far as the overall length is concerned, we're looking at 187 inches for this new C-Class, which is up 2 inches over the previous generation model. I also want to point out, we got the real door handles. We don't have like the sleek flip-up door handles or electronic ones from the S-Class. I honestly kind of prefer the traditional ones better. Now, walking around to the rear design of the C-Class, you're going to see a lot of S-Class influence back here. This is pretty much what you get on the S-Class. It has that newest Mercedes design, and you know, it's very simple, but it does have a very classy overall elegant look, which is what I think Mercedes should have done. So up top, I do want to point out, if you do have an available spoiler, if you go for the AMG line. Looking at our taillights, these are going to be the newest Mercedes design. Full LED as you would expect. I do like that we have the amber LED turn signal, also LED reverse light. Then if we drop down to the lower area, we have the nice silver trim. We have the non-AMG line model, and these are going to be faux exhaust outlets. If you go for the AMG line, you will actually have real exhaust outlets in the nice silver finish. Now let's talk about your safety systems and the warranty for this new C-Class. So I am happy to tell you that Mercedes has included some safety systems as standard equipment on every single C-Class, which is normally more than what they do. So we have forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection and auto high beams, standard across the board. If you want the driver's assistance package, which will further add in all the other systems, you have to go for at least an executive or pinnacle trim level to option that on. That will further add adaptive cruise control as well as your lane keeping assist and a steering assist as well. Now, as far as your warranty is concerned, we have 4-year, 50,000 mile basic and powertrain warranty for Mercedes, no complimentary maintenance. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior design of this all-new C-Class. There's some pretty awesome stuff going on the inside, so let's check that out before we take it out in a spin.
So walking up to this all-new C-Class, you do get the newest version of the Mercedes key fob. Absolutely a huge fan of this key fob. Wonderful feel in the hand, very solid, nice size, smooth metal around all the edges there. So definitely really like that. The intelligent entry system is going to be standard equipment, and as you can see, unlike the S-Class, we do have a normal door handle. And then of course we do have a fully brand new interior, which I'll give you a quick look at, and we'll go ahead and climb inside. Now before we get into looking around at all the interior luxury in here, let's go ahead and talk about our color and material choices straight from the start here. So with the C-Class, you're going to have a standard MB text. That's going to be a basically a faux leather that feels very realistic and nice. That is what we have on this specific example. So as you can see, we have the nice perforation that runs through here, color contrast stitching throughout. If you choose the AMG line models, you're going to have some additional color choices that are more sporty, in addition to the standard black, sienna brown, or this macchiato beige that you get with the C300 model. Furthermore, you can also option on a very premium quilted Napa leather if you prefer that. Now in terms of the seats themselves, they're going to be 14-way power adjusting on this driver's side. As you can see, in typical Mercedes fashion, we have the door-mounted controls here, and just like with the S-Class, they're now touch sensitive, so instead of sliding, you really just put more pressure on it, will make it move faster. And that includes all the different things, including headrest and power thigh extension. Floating inside of this console here, we do also have the 3-person memory seating, again standard, as well as the heated seats, which are standard. Now, let's talk about those materials, because this is a very premium and upscale car. It really makes a strong first impression because it bears so much of a resemblance to the S-Class, although this, of course, is significantly cheaper. So over here on our door trim, we have a nice leather material that runs all through here with the stitching detail. I really like how the door control, or the window controls, excuse me, kind of jut out here. We do have touch sensitive mirror controls as well. Really cool look. Along the top, it is going to be padded. And as we go to the upper dash, it's going to continue that same soft touch plastic. This would be a leatherette if you choose the AMG line models. And then, of course, my favorite part is just how much wood trim is inside of this vehicle. All through here as well as through there, and on the other side is going to be this beautiful waterfalling of wood trim. This specific model, we have the open pore walnut. It looks lovely. There are 5 other choices for aluminum as well as wood. So you can really design this cabin to be just about any way you want. And then down here in the middle, we do have a piano black trim. It's not going to be padded along the side, at least here on this base model. Then of course, to start up, you're going to press the standard button. And right away, you're going to be greeted with a big interior change for this next generation C-Class, and that's the fact that we now have this standalone digital gauge cluster. It's measuring in at 12.3 inches, and as you can see, it's very large, very vivid. It actually doesn't have any type of hood or anything because it doesn't really need it. And you can, of course, change the design. So I can, swipe over to a sport design, and wow, that one's very, very unique. So you have a lot of customizability here. Furthermore, if you chose the top pinnacle trim, that would also throw in a head-up display. You make those adjustments, by the way, over here with the touch-sensitive controls on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. And speaking of the steering wheel, this is the latest Mercedes design, of course. Nice thick rim, leather-wrapped. If you chose the AMG line model, that is going to throw in a sportier design steering wheel, as you would expect. And then as far as the wheel itself, I am impressed to find that power adjustment is actually standard equipment. That's pretty rare in this segment. Additionally, steering wheel heating is available as an option. And then off to the side here, we've got our headlight controls as well as our electronic parking brake. But let's go ahead and take a look around at interior storage next. So of course, we have a fully redesigned console here, and it kind of flows down into this area. So we'll start here. Underneath of this, we have a pretty nicely sized amount of space. Relatively deep. We do have a felt lining, and of course your standard 2 USB Type-C ports. But let's make it coupon official here. Let's get these guys in here. All right, actually no problem at all. You're just gonna be able to close that up. So pretty spacious for this type of vehicle. Now underneath of this piano black trim, we can push this back. This is where you're gonna find all the rest of the interior storage. So we do have our 2 cup holders. You can press these little buttons here. That's gonna adjust the size of them to something a little smaller. You got this cubby that runs right through there. And then down there in the back, we actually have a really deep area that doubles as a wireless phone charging pad. If you have that option, or the trim levels that includes it. And then you also have a USB Type-C as well. I do like the interior ambient lighting that's inside of there. And speaking of ambient lighting, I might as well go ahead and mention that, not to get sidetracked, but as you can see, we do have a lot of ambient lighting in here along the door trims, over through here, along the top. Of course, Mercedes is pretty much the king of ambient lighting, and since this base model does have the advanced ambient lighting package, we do have all the goodies, including up in the vents and everything. So very, very nice look. Even here in the daylight, it does show up. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk shifters now. Of course, we do have the latest Mercedes design, so it's kind of hollow on the inside there. Of course, you're just going to push down for drive. As always, we do have paddle shifters built into the back of the steering wheel. And then you'll press up the opposite direction for reverse. Now, included on the executive trim level and above is the 360 camera. We have the base model, but we do have it as an option through the parking assistance package. And as you can see, absolutely beautiful camera system here. We have the traditional view with active trajectory. We have our 360 overhead view right through there. And then you've got a lot of different choices down here along the bottom. So if you click into that function, we can start to go into this really cool 3D view, which is extremely detailed. We can zoom out. This is one of the best ones I have ever seen. Just absolutely seamless the way that all of the camera views stitch together. Furthermore, you do also have the parking assistance package when you choose that. So that is going to give you the ability to do some automatic parallel and perpendicular parking. And then for park, just press the end of the stalk. But let's go ahead and talk about this area in here. So I'm going to start with this row of buttons. Kind of is raised above the rest of the area, but they are still touch capacitive buttons. First of all, I do want to mention the fingerprint reader. So it does have that ability to sync your personal settings to a different fingerprint. And I would of course do that if I had that set up and this was my vehicle. Over here on the side, we have our volume knob for our audio system. So with this model, we have the optional 710 watt 15 speaker Burmester 3D sound system. This is standard on the other 2 trim levels, and all you have to do to adjust the sound is just slide your finger over, since it is touch sensitive. So of course, as you would expect for a Burmester sound system, sound quality is excellent. Sounds really wonderful, especially inside a relatively small cabin such as this. And then metal speaker grills, I love those, and Burmester does some of the best ones. They're very, very detailed looking and really class up the cabin nicely. But of course, one of the biggest elements of this redesigned cabin is the fact that we have a humongous tech upgrade. So down through almost the entire center, we have this very large, portrait-oriented 11.9-inch touchscreen. It looks very, very similar to the one that's in the S-Class, and of course very different than some of the other Mercedes models, which had those large 12.3-inch displays that went across the top. So in terms of what you're going to get here, you have a lot of stuff baked inside of this. One of those things is going to be your climate controls down here at the bottom, so let's start there. This is a standard dual zone automatic climate control setup. Adjustment, incredibly simple. You just, adjust the temperatures right through there. Fan speeds right there. Main functions are inside of it, but you can get to some additional ones by clicking on the climate menu, and that's going to pop up that stuff right there. And taking a look here at the main display itself, of course, we're running the latest version of the MBUX system. All the graphics and stuff, very top-notch, beautiful, high-performance screen. One of the nice features that we have added is wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So that is definitely nice that you don't have to physically connect to have that. And I do like also that this takes up the vast majority of the display, except for just that little section down there at the bottom for the climate controls. And lastly, we don't have it on this specific example, but you can get the augmented reality navigation system. Of course, we got our nice signature 3 vents, and then at the top here, we're going to have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with 3 home universal remotes as standard equipment. And at the very top, we have the panoramic sunroof. So a standard size sunroof is going to be included on all the models. However, we do have the optional panoramic one or dual panel one, depending on how you want to look at that. As you can see, the sunshade is power and extremely quiet. You can't hear it at all as it slides back.
Now come on back here in the all-new C-Class's rear seat. Now, of course, this is a family sedan, so this is an important area, and I'm happy to say that this Mercedes C-Class has actually increased a little bit in space for this all-new generation. So let's talk about that. We have 36 inches of rear legroom, 37.5 inches of rear headroom. It's not drastically different from the previous generation. Mercedes C-Class is up 0.8 inches in overall legroom. You are really going to benefit from that, though. This is Drew's seating position. I'm 5'9", he's 5'8". I'm looking at probably, I'd say 7.5 inches of rear legroom. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, too. So overall, I'm very happy. The seats are a little firm, though, so if you like a soft seat, probably don't go for the C-Class because they're always firm. Now, as far as here in the center, we have vents. These are probably going to be standard equipment on every single model. I like the shaping of it. Down below that, we have this little hole right here. This could be for climate controls. I'm not exactly sure. We don't have full information on this car yet. Dropping down below that, there's also nothing underneath it here. Could be for USB ports, maybe on higher end models. Now, folding down the central armrest, we do have a nice one. It's nicely leather wrapped. If we pop this open, I don't really know what this thing is for. If you guys have an idea, comment that down in the comment section down below. But we do have 2 cup holders right here. Really nicely sized as well. I do want to point out heated rear seats are not available on this new C-Class from what I can tell. And then coming over here to your door trim, we do have a really nice one, as you would expect out of a Mercedes-Benz. We got padded soft touch plastic on the upper portion. We have this floating area with ambient lighting behind that. We also have like a floating grab handle back here, some metal speaker grills, and quite a bit of bottle storage down below. Now coming on up to your trunk area, we do have a hands-free power trunk optioned onto this base model. It would be standard equipment on the Pinnacle trim. We do have a credit though because the hands-free is not working due to the chip shortage. They cut that out and gave you a $100 credit for this particular tester. Now, as far as the cubic feet measure back here is concerned, you have a little bit over 12 cubic feet, 12.6 cubic feet. That is exactly the same as the previous generation C-Class, so you're not going to have a revolutionary amount of extra space for this all-new model or anything like that. However, this is still one of the largest offerings in the entire segment, just like that rear seat spec figure. It's also finished very nicely. We have a nice carpeting along the floor. If we lift this up, you will find actually a lot of additional space up under here. I was very surprised to see this amount of space up under there. You could throw quite a bit of stuff there. Also, I want to point out 40-20-40 split folding seat backs in the rear. That, of course, helps you to have the most usable space as well as the cargo capacity. We also have these switches right here to fold the seats down electrically. So that's a really nice touch that they just included a switch and you don't have to walk up there to this second row itself. Now come on to the passenger side. As typical with Mercedes-Benz, they're not going to skimp out on passenger seat adjustments. So let's look here at the door trim. We have the same adjustments as the driver. So this is going to be 14-way power adjusting. We even have the power thigh extension. We have a power headrest. All the ways of adjustment you can want, you're going to have it. We also have 3-person memory here on the passenger side. Opening up the glove box, we do have a really impressively large glove box. Really good sized. Good job, Mercedes-Benz, on trying to get all the maximize the space in here. We have plenty of room for our coupons. As you can see, they can throw all the way back there in the very back. Shut it up perfectly fine. Now up top, we do have a sun visor. If we open up the mirror, you do have a pretty nice large one. You also have some LED lighting up top. And we do have a sun visor that detaches and extends, which I think that might be the first time I've seen that on a Mercedes.
So of course, we do have some new powertrains on board, because what next generation Mercedes would be complete without having some new powertrains? And so with the C300, what you're going to get is still a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. However, we have the signature EQ Boost mild hybrid system being paired for the very first time to a 4-cylinder engine. That all together is going to make 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque in this example, and 0-60 Mercedes rates at 5.9 seconds. That's pretty much what I was feeling as well. You know, this is the base version, or the standard version. There's going to be a C43, a C63 probably, so there's going to be a lot of different versions if you want more power, but as far as this one, more than adequate for a standard engine.
And like I said, my first impression there taking off was just, wow, it's so smooth. Like it takes off, and it does that very quick acceleration, but it does so in nonchalant manner. You know, which is really what people are looking for, especially if you get the C300. We'll be very curious to drive the AMG versions to see how those spiff it up, but for the C300, you're mainly just looking for smoothness, and it delivers on that front so well.
I also want to talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, and that is the transmission. So on board, we do have a 9-speed automatic transmission. Nice and smooth at all different kinds of throttle applications, as you'd expect. And of course, you really can't feel it when it does shift, although you can see the difference in the tachometer. That's pretty much your only indication. Yeah. And just like with the previous generation, we do have a standard rear-wheel drive or the optional 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. This example we're driving today does have 4MATIC, so that of course is going to help you, put the power down in all situations, including rain and snow.
But guys, just kind of cruising along here on this little, city road, I want to talk about the ride quality, because that's an area where this C-Class, it's always kind of a little bit of a question mark, because this may have S-Class exterior styling, a really smooth and refined powertrain, but how is Mercedes going to handle the ride quality? Are they going to do a good job here, or is this going to be a cheaper, watered-down Mercedes? I have to say, I'm really impressed by what Mercedes has done here. We're riding around in comfort mode, and it is very, very smooth. This road is rough, which is why I wanted to talk about ride quality here. This is about as rough as it gets for a road, and it is soaking up the bumps really well. We do have the smallest wheels on the C-Class lineup, but I'm very impressed with just the overall ride quality. The seats are also pretty comfortable, too.
Yeah, exactly. And, if you're cross-shopping within the Mercedes lineup, because I know maybe some of you guys might be thinking, should I get in a CLA, maybe a little bit more equipment for less money? I will definitely say the ride quality is certainly better in this C-Class. It feels like a more substantial vehicle, definitely a level up, and just kind of, like I said, more substantial, more comfortable than that model is for sure. The torque is quite impressive. Really does push you back in the seat.
Let's get our sound level reading. Very good. 54.5 decibels is what we were looking at. That's a really, really good reading. I just sitting here and listening through my own ears, I definitely can confirm this is a very quiet vehicle. They haven't cheaped out on any of the sound deadening, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there is an available acoustic glass if you want a little bit more.
All right, but I do want to also discuss another practical element about owning a C300. That would be the fuel economy. Now, the fuel economy is really, really good. It's an improvement over the previous model. We're looking at 25, 35, 29 combined for the rear drive model. If you go for 4MATIC all-wheel drive, you're looking at 27 miles a gallon combined, but you're still looking at 33 on the highway out of you know, a luxury vehicle like this with this much power, it's really, really impressive that Mercedes is able to achieve that. You do have to use premium fuel, though, so that is a little bit of a con, especially as expensive as gas is nowadays, unfortunately.
Hey, it is a Mercedes, though. You gotta pay to play, as they say. So hopefully, as we come to a stop here, we'll see the EQ boost system at play. Yeah, there we go. So I want to kind of circle back to that because that's a big part of why this gets such good fuel economy. You have the really, really advanced auto start-stop system, which can spend, I would say, probably twice as much time off, because as you start to come to a stop, as soon as you hit that brake pedal, it's just going to go ahead and power the engine off as you come to a stop, so that cuts off all that space. Additionally, they call it EQ boost because it does, in certain circumstances, kind of boost your power up for just a short time as you take off from a stop. And my gosh, it is so freaking smooth.
Yep.
I'm so glad that with the application here with the 4-cylinder, it's exactly the same as it is in the other models that we've tested out. Just buttery smooth. You cannot feel it turn off or on.
We've declared it before. Yeah. It's the smoothest auto start system in any vehicle,
Absolutely
period.
Stand by that for sure.
Yeah, Mercedes EQ Boost, hands down, best auto start stop. We don't even really like auto start stop, but I would leave it on in this, so that tells you something. All right, and we are in Kentucky after all. Let's hit one of our signature elements, airball slam dunk. So Drew will kick us off with the airball, and then I'll hit us with the slam dunk.
So we talked about it, and we decided the airball would be just, it's not, I'll qualify this before I say it. It's not that I dislike the way this looks, it's just that it looks very, very similar to the outgoing generation, and I kind of wish maybe Mercedes pushed the design envelope a little bit further, maybe added a little bit more of those like kind of sportier elements from things like the CLA.
Yeah. And as far as our slam dunk, really there are a lot of different things that we could have picked. I think the biggest improvement for me, I was expecting a really nice cabin and such, so really the thing that shocked me and I like the most about it is the powertrain. I think the powertrain really cements in a huge upgrade over the previous generation model, better fuel economy, better auto start stop, more torque. I mean, it's really just an improvement all the way around, and really the fuel economy is a huge practical improvement, especially with rising gas prices. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the pricing for the C-Class. Now, how much is this going to cost? Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of an increase over the previous model. We don't have full pricing information at the time of this video. This is a pretty early video for the C-Class. They're just now hitting dealers.
And we will add it into the description and comment as soon as it's released. I anticipate we'll have all of the pricing within a matter of days.
Yeah. But this one, as equipped, this is the C300 4MATIC. I can tell you that base price. It's $45,550. Then when we add in a few options, just a handful of Mercedes options, it's less than normal. We're looking at $50,195 as tested for this particular model with the $1,050 destination.
But overall, we are quite impressed with this next generation C-Class. Really, the last generation, it was a product that we really, really loved, and it aged so gracefully. I mean, over all the time, it still was one of the best in the segment, and I'm super glad that Mercedes took all of those elements that really made it great, but then improved on the things that it needed updating on. For instance, technology, a little bit more space. They've even increased the luxury. So, I mean, all in all, it's hard to say this is anything less than one of the best in the segment.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us on this in-depth review of the all-new 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, please hit that subscribe button down below. It helps us to give you all better content, so it's really a circular thing here. Please tell a friend, family, whoever to subscribe because it helps us out, which will indeed show you all better content. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.